Over 1 million coronavirus cases have been recorded in Africa. This comes as countries tentatively relax restrictions in a bid to bolster flailing economies. Just over 20,000 people have died of the virus on the continent, though the World Health Organization predicts this figure could be much higher because countries lack the equipment to test for COVID-19. South Africa accounts for more than half the cases on the continent. The coronavirus has huge ramifications. One unexpected consequence in Kenya is an apparent rise in teenage pregnancies during the pandemic. Some adolescent girls are pushed into transactional sex to survive, whilst others have more sex as they stay home from school. In the capital Nairobi, 16-year-old Lynette speaks of her fears ahead of her baby's birth.
I think I'm too young to get pregnant. I feel like my friends back at home will laugh at me. I left our rural home and wasn't pregnant, only for me to come and get pregnant here.
In Rwanda, people caught breaking the 9 p.m. curfew or not wearing masks are being sent to stadiums for all-night lectures on the dangers of the coronavirus. Since mid-July, official figures show around 70,000 people caught breaking the rules had to sit through hours of speeches at local sports stadiums.
Most countries in Europe give fines of €135. For Rwandans like me, €135 is roughly 150,000 Rwandan francs. I'd rather spend the night in the stadium than spend 150,000 Rwandan francs on a fine.
Even as the pandemic worsens in Africa, some countries have taken steps to reopen their economies. South Africa has borrowed $4.3 billion in emergency financing from the International Monetary Fund. Kenya reopened for international commercial flights on the 1st of August.
I was waiting for the flights to resume so that I can go and see my family in UK. Yeah.
Meanwhile, students in Nigeria who are due to sit exams have returned to the classroom.
It's quite different now, to not able to hug your friends and, do the normal things we usually do before. Now we have to put on face masks and avoid each other, do the social distancing and wash hands regularly, and everything is just different now. So.
In Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa, officials roam the streets reminding residents to wear masks and maintain social distancing.
We teach people to apply these measures, but some people put the masks in their pocket and wear it only when our teams are around.
In other news, Ivory Coast's President Alassane Ouattara has said he will run for re-election in October, confirming speculation following the sudden death of the ruling party candidate, Prime Minister Amadou Gon Coulibaly, who died from a heart attack in July.
Face à ce cas de force majeure et par devoir citoyen.
Faced with this case of force majeure and out of civic duty, I've decided to respond favourably to the call of my fellow citizens asking me to be a candidate in the presidential election of the 31st of October 2020. I am therefore a candidate in the presidential election of October the 31st, 2020.
À l'élection présidentielle du 31 octobre 2020.
Ouattara's decision will likely spark accusations of the abuse of democracy under the country's two-term presidential limits. The 78-year-old has previously argued that a constitutional change has reset the clock, enabling him to potentially run again. Meanwhile, police fired tear gas to disperse hundreds of protesters in front of Ivory Coast's election commission. The demonstrators were demanding that former President Laurent Gbagbo be allowed to run in the elections as well. A low-level civil war broke out after 2011 elections when Gbagbo refused to cede power after losing to Ouattara. The unrest claimed some 3,000 lives. Gbagbo, freed conditionally by the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity, has applied for a passport so that he can return home for the election. Guinea's ruling party has nominated President Alpha Conde to return for a third term in their presidential elections in October, despite violent protests against him running again. Under Guinea's constitution, presidents may only serve 2 terms, but this year Conde pushed through a revamped constitution that opponents say was crafted to reset the term counter, enabling him to run again.
Guinea is a victim of one thing, its spirit of independence and sovereignty. which led it to vote no in 1958, and that spirit remains. But it does not please people very much, because they do not like it when a country defends its sovereignty when it does not obey.
And finally, a miner in Tanzania has sold a precious stone to the government for around $2 million, his second in almost as many months. Saniniu Laizer became an overnight multi-millionaire in June after uncovering two of the country's biggest tanzanite stones on record, weighing over 9 and 5 kilograms respectively.
I would like to express my thanks to the government for the support they are giving us, and I ask them to continue providing us small-scale miners with resources. When they do this, it's sure us small-scale miners will find more tanzanite, even bigger than this one.
Tanzanite is one of the world's rarest stones, and this latest discovery weighed in at a whopping 6 kilograms.